What will be the price of Bitcoin in 1 year from now? What about in 10, 20 years? Guessing the future price of Bitcoin is like looking into a crystal ball. Its high volatility makes Bitcoin one of the world's most unpredictable assets.
Bitcoin is very volatile, so...
This is so loud.
Still, a nearly unlimited upside potential is what keeps people speculating on Bitcoin's future highs. Some of these predictions are based on research and data analysis. Others are mantras that hodlers keep repeating to strengthen the collective belief in the asset. Let's have a look at the most popular Bitcoin price predictions around. This is Plan B's stock-to-flow model. It says the value of Bitcoin will increase over time thanks to its decreasing supply rate, which is cut in half every 4 years.
The supply, of course, is fixed, and then it gets halved. And after that halving, there's a nonlinear dynamic that sharply increases its shortage. And it's like a wave that's hitting the beach. It gets higher and higher and higher.
If Plan B is correct, we should expect Bitcoin to hit $288,000 by the end of 2021. One of the strongest supporters of the stock-to-flow is Dan Morehead, CEO at crypto hedge fund Pantera Capital. He is convinced that Bitcoin should reach the $115,000 benchmark by next August.
The biggest news is PayPal. They just brought the ability to buy crypto to 3 times as many people as have it. That's a demand shift that just jacks up the demand curve because there's just a lot more people that can buy it.
Anthony Pompliano, co-founder at Morgan Creek Digital, is looking at similar targets. He predicted Bitcoin will reach $100,000 in 2021. According to Pompliano, only a relatively small portion of Bitcoin supply is actually available for buying and selling. That would make the asset even more scarce and valuable.
If all of a sudden only about 8 million Bitcoin are available and all this new demand is showing up, you're going to have a pretty aggressive price increase.
And yet, no matter how much Bitcoin goes up, there will be always naysayers predicting its imminent collapse. For Nouriel Roubini and Peter Schiff, Bitcoin is a speculative bubble that will lead most investors to financial ruin.
The price of Bitcoin is totally manipulated by a bunch of people, by a bunch of whales, doesn't have any fundamental value.
It doesn't matter that the price has gone up. Eventually, the supply of fools runs out, and the greatest fool ends up as the bag holder.
It's true. Bitcoin happens to crash. And when it does, it's usually a pretty bad crash. Still, looking at Bitcoin's past, the main cryptocurrency came back stronger after each downfall. In fact, Bitcoin's history can be seen as a succession of bull and bear market cycles. So the question is, where are we right now? According to unconfirmed reports, Wall Street giant Citibank predicts that Bitcoin is currently in the middle of a bull run, which could peak at $318,000 by December 2021. Scott Minerd, CIO at financial services firm Guggenheim, is more bearish in the short term. He said that the current price levels of Bitcoin are unsustainable, and the price will retrace all the way to $20,000 by the end of 2021.
Who cares about 2021? We're going to the moon.
The moon? But that's so far away. It's taking so much time to get there.
So what? We get there when we get there. Are you coming?
Well, actually, I should finish the video first.
Suit yourself.
So, what is Bitcoin's endgame? Despite his short-term bearish prediction, Guggenheim CIO Scott Minerd thinks that Bitcoin could eventually establish itself as digital gold, more scarce and easily transportable than gold itself. At that point, the main cryptocurrency will be worth from $400,000 to $600,000. $400,000 is also the long-term price target of Frank Holmes, CEO and Chief Investment Officer of US Global Investors. However, he sees Bitcoin becoming as a rare collectible, like a piece of art.
It's going to be like having an original Andy Warhol, one of his prints. It is a piece of art. It's amazing.
Welcome, brother.
But there is one prediction that trumps them all, that Bitcoin will become something even beyond digital gold or artworks, something the world hasn't seen in 1,000 years.
You heard it here first. Bitcoin is going to zero. Zero. When it comes out, zero.
No. Play the other one.
What would it be like if you owned 10% of all the electricity that was ever going to be pumped?
Or what if you could buy 1% of all the running water that's ever going to be pumped? This is our once-in-a-thousand-year opportunity.
Michael Saylor, the CEO of MicroStrategy, thinks that Bitcoin will take over most safe haven assets and become the world's ultimate store of value. By then, he said, it will be worth over $14 million.
In theory, all monetary energy that's simply looking for a store of value safe haven index should presumably drain out of real estate, cash, stocks, and bonds into the Bitcoin network.
Let's not get too ahead of ourselves, though. Ultimately, the future price of Bitcoin will depend on many factors, like global economic conditions, government regulations, and mainstream adoption. One thing is for sure, though. Wherever the price of Bitcoin is headed, it's going to be one hell of a ride.